she grows amazing. She's got amazing stuff going on.
Oh, so you just say whatever you want during that time? I love that. That's better. Yeah, good. More freedom is always good, right, Loretta?
No, I don't, I guess I don't. Okay, thanks. All right. So what are you going right now?
Oh, gosh. I just got. Are we ready? No fails. Did you know it's been bringing me so much joy? Good morning. We're going to call to order the meeting of the Clearwater Library Advisory Board, February 6th at 10:15 a.m. And can we have approval of the minutes? Has anyone been able to read them and approve?
I have read, yeah.
We have one approval and second?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do we have any citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda?
Did you vote on the minutes? You had first and a second.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry,
Everyone.
excuse me for that. Do we vote that?
Yeah,
we all
first and a
approve the
second,
minutes?
mhm.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Mhm. Any opposed?
So are there any citizens to be heard regarding the items not on the agenda? It does not look like there's anyone waiting to be heard, so we will go on to old business, and that was with Jennifer.
And that is our beach library update, and we get questions very often about what is the status of our beach library update. So last meeting, I did report out. There have been some developments since then, so I'd like to provide a more recent update.
Absolutely.
We are working with Parks and Rec Department to restore our beach library, which, as you know, is located within the rec center. So they have, they're working with an architect, Williamson Dakar, to work on their portion of the rec center. And we will be joining them, working with the same architect to restore our beach library. So we're in the preliminary stages of working with the architect for his,
She said pull it close.
closer. Okay, I'm sorry. Usually I have such a loud mouth that I don't have a microphone. We're working with the architect to determine furniture and fixtures, flooring, we're working with them. And then also too, we need to determine, some FEMA reimbursement and city insurance. So we're really in the preliminary stages, but we are moving forward with restoration. So we're working closely with Parks and Rec to do that. So as far as the timeline goes, Parks and Rec anticipates reopening the rec center and library probably in March of 2026.
Oh, wow.
However, it could be sooner. But that is probably maybe the worst case scenario timeline that they provided to us. Hopefully this storm season will not impact the restoration and construction. And, any hiccups with any construction project. But so what I'm telling you now is they're saying March of 2026, there's a good possibility we will reopen earlier. So I will have hopefully an updated report at our August meeting. So
Very good.
we're excited about that. Our beach community definitely misses our library out there. We're looking for ways to bring some programming out to the beach, that area, maybe near the pool. We're working through some scenarios to provide some very limited service to the beach community before we can reopen. So, and of course, this is for anyone watching or listening, this is a result from Hurricane Helene, damage from Hurricane Helene and Milton. So we're getting there. We're getting
Well, we
there.
appreciate what you're doing to get it back.
Question, has the bike mobile made an appearance at the beach? Is there limited, library services in that way?
Our bike mobile that's in our main lobby, the constraint with that was we don't have really a way to transport it.
Not
And we
riding it
certainly
over
can,
the
no, we
bridge?
can't ride it
Okay.
over the bridge.
Okay.
The bike isn't designed for
Oh,
long,
okay.
and especially that on a
I
high-trafficked
see.
road.
I see.
We are not
Okay.
allowed to.
Gotcha.
So primarily, we're using it for coach and park events and downtown.
That makes sense.
If we can find a way to transport it, we could definitely use it in other ways, at other locations, other library locations. It's just the challenge
Right.
is, it doesn't fit in our, and we have a large minivan, department vehicle, and it doesn't fit in there, so.
Oh,
I had a question also. Is there the old-fashioned, I can think about from my childhood, those bookmobiles that you could take to the beach?
If we had one.
Oh, you don't have one? Okay.
a vehicle of some kind?
If we had a bookmobile. I believe the only PPLC member library that has a bookmobile is Largo.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I've seen one somewhere, but I thought it might have been in this
There are
area.
other partners, and we have partnered with them in the past, other organizations that have like book buses, and so we're looking into that, see if we can partner with them
Yeah, be a way to get-
provide
yeah.
services to the beach.
And I was also wondering, do you get many tourists at that library, since it is close to the tourism area? Do you get a lot of tourists in that area?
We do get tourists. A lot of times they come in to use the computer to print out their boarding pass or their itinerary or whatever they need. We also have a heavy influx of snowbirds. Now they're back to their other homes around the country, but our snowbird season is usually around Thanksgiving to Easter. So, and then just the community residents.
right.
So it's a beloved branch of.
Well, I was thinking about the tourists only because, as a mom, when you used to be at the beach and it was a rainy day, you were always looking for that library.
That's right.
To go to take your kids, so that they wouldn't be
Absolutely.
screaming in the hotel room.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we offered programs at the beach for all ages. And yes, if it's a rainy day or if they're just looking for something else to do, they have attended our programs. So, yes. Thank you.
And is the
Questions?
library part of like the tourism appeal for any advertising? When you get in the airport, there's all these things you see about this area. Are libraries ever mentioned in those tourism ads?
That's a good question. I'll have to look into it.
'Cause I think that'd be,
Yeah.
you never know also, it's an opportunity that people may come to your library, love it, and maybe want to donate some money since they were there.
Yeah.
So,
I will
something to
look
think
into
about.
that, yes.
What would be the ability for a tourist to use the library? Is there a tourist card or?
We do have temporary cards,
Okay,
temporary use
temporary,
cards.
temporary,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, I'll look into that.
So is that the only business item today?
I'm sorry?
Is that the only old business item
Yes.
today?
that
So we'll
is-
go on to next.
Yep.
Next is the director's report.
Yes.
Which is also by Jennifer.
So, I'll just start off with our big programs that we had, if you want to call it winter/spring. We had another, I think it was our 8th annual Night at the Library at our North Greenwood Library. It was right after our February meeting. It was fantastic, very informative, great community event. We look forward to it every year. So that was the end of February in honor of Black History Month. We had another successful, this I think was our 10th year of Comic-Con. We have been rotating locations. We partner with the Parks and Rec Department because we used to host them here at the main library, but our space is very limited, and our Comic-Cons have grown over the years. So we partnered with we partner with the Parks and Rec Department, and we have them at the rec centers. So we try to rotate rec centers each year. So this year it was at our Countryside Rec Center. So it was very successful, family friendly event. We had things for all, activities and events for all ages. So it was great to see a lot of families and kids in costume, people in costumes, kids in costumes. We had, contests and vendors, and it was just a great event. So we're really, really happy that another year of successful Comic-Con. So a lot of preparation that goes into that too. And the next thing is we're just getting ready for our big season of the year, which is our summer reading program. We offer programs and reading challenges for people of all ages, from birth up to whatever age. So kids, teens, and adults. So that will kick off in the beginning of June, and that goes to the end of July. So we have a jam-packed summer planned. I look forward to giving you a report in August about how that went. And then also this year, school starts, I believe, the second week of August. So we we have done in the past like a backpack school supply giveaway. So again, this year, we're going to be doing a school supply giveaway for students going back to returning to school. And that is funded by the generous funding by our library foundation. So we'll be doing that a week before school starts at all of our locations. So we're excited about that. Oh, one thing that we had pretty much year long, we participate in a robotics program out of our North Greenwood Library. So we sponsor teams, and the teams come, believe on a weekly basis. They work on the robotics project, and then they go to a countywide competition. And I'm just proud and happy to announce that we had teams win 3 trophies. First, don't quote me on this, but I think first and second place. But we won 3 trophies again this year. So it's just been a wonderful program, dedicated students who love to work on robotics, and just seeing them work together and build up to the competition is fantastic. So it's a huge accomplishment. So proud to announce that. Next up, we had scheduled our all-staff development day the week that Milton came to town. So we always have it in October, the second week in October, but Milton had other plans, so we had to reschedule it for March. So we had it March 24th. So half of the day, because we need to update our strategic plan, our library strategic plan. So we hired a consultant to help us kick that off with staff on this day to get their input and identify what we would like our strategic plan to look like in the future. This is just a kickoff and get staff input. There are many pieces to creating a strategic plan. So, we will be working on the next steps, and that is to get community input from our stakeholders. So there's multiple steps before we can actually finalize a strategic plan. So stay tuned. I'll have probably another report in our next meeting in August. So, but I just want to let you know that we kicked it off, and we're really excited to start working on that again, to renew our plan. So, the next thing is our North Greenwood renovations, which we were just completed last Friday. So North Greenwood, as you know, opened a year after this library opened. So it's going on the 20-year mark. So needed some TLC, and I reported back in February that we were planning to do this. So that happened 2 weeks ago. So they completely redid the patron restrooms, the flooring, fixtures, tile, everything. The lobby got renovated, flooring. We're gonna get we had new displays, and we got new flooring in our programming or community room. Looks fantastic, so if you ever have some free time, stop by. Looks great. They also painted the entire interior of the library, so that got refreshed. We are in the process of refreshing the furniture. Our computer tables and chairs are showing its age. So we're working with a furniture vendor to get new furniture that's more functional, more up to date, and just, it's time. So hopefully by our August meeting, I'll have an update on that, but we are working with the vendor, and that is a process. And then we had a muralist who was going to paint a mural on the front facade of the library. We had that lined up, and unfortunately, that fell through.
Oh, no.
But that doesn't mean we're not getting a mural. It's just we need to select another artist. So hopefully, again, in our August meeting, I'll have an update. But we are in the process of selecting another artist, and that has to go for approval to the city's art committee. So just know that we're working on that. It's going to happen. Yeah. Just going to take a little longer. So.
Question, so will you go back to the pool where you chose the original artist, or will there be like a new call to artists for the mural to be?
We have two options. We can go back to the initial call for artists, or we can do another call for artists. However, when we initially did the call for artists, we got a good list of artists, so we're fairly confident we can find someone from that initial list.
Good.
And that will also help maybe speed up the process as well, and,
Yeah.
as opposed to doing a whole new call for artists. So that's our plan. So stay tuned. It'll be great. The next thing, I just want to give you an update, and I reported last meeting about the new hotel that will be built right outside our front entrance here at the main library. The last I heard that from the contractors or the city engineer was that the construction is slated to be start, the construction fences, the beginning of this month. I heard May 15th. I tried to get an update before a meeting, and then there wasn't. They didn't have an update other than what the city knows is they're still planning to do a May 15th update. That will have an impact on Osceola. They're going to have construction lanes for their trucks and whatnot. Construction fencing will be going up. So that's why you see the parking lot that's blocked off. That is now owned by the hotel.
Oh, oh, that has a huge impact on parking.
Wow, sure enough.
Yes.
Oh, my.
Yes. So hopefully that timeline is still on target. That's the last I heard. That could change. I don't know, but that's what I know today. The city will be hosting at the Baycare Sound the high school graduations. It'll be the end of this month, so May 26th, 27th, and 28th. The Baycare Sound will host Pinellas County high school graduations. There will be 4 graduations each day, beginning at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So it's going to be a full day and evening for those 3 days. So unfortunately, the main library will need to close to the public for those 3 days. So I just want to make you aware that we will be closed the 26th, 27th, and 28th. That's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Memorial Day is Monday, so that's a city holiday. We will be closed, obviously, on Memorial Day. So the only day that week that we will be open, well, that's Saturday before Memorial Day, and the Tuesday will be open. So the 20th. Did I get that right? No, it's the, Memorial Day is the 26th, right?
No.
So,
Wait.
27th, so the graduations are the 28th, 29th, and 30th.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Mhm.
Got my date's wrong. So. The next thing is, we know this time of year is budget season for next fiscal year, so it'll be fiscal year 25, 26. And we do our budget in pieces. So right now, I think we are at the salary, the employee personnel piece. So typically, the budget, we compile a budget in pieces during the spring, and we submit it usually around May. And then it goes to the city manager and then ultimately to the city council for approval. So we're in the process of wrapping that up. I mentioned at last meeting that the library is experiencing some reductions for next fiscal year. So that results in a change in hours for our 2 of our locations. So Countryside will no longer offer Sunday hours, and Main Library will no longer offer Saturday hours.
This library.
This library, Main Library. However, we're adding some hours to our Friday mornings. So right now, our hours at Countryside and Main are 12 to 5. We will be open 10 to 5 on Friday.
I
Both
had
at
a question,
Countryside
I had a
and-
question for that. So, I know you said they're experiencing the reduction. So because the weekends are so popular with families and working parents, is there any way to take one of the weekdays and close and leave that Saturday available open?
For the main library? We consider that. The challenge that the main library is experiencing is, like when there's events at the park, either at the Baycare Sound or in the Green, it's just a challenge for our patrons to have access to the main library. Both with just parking and crowds and whatnot. So we determined that Saturday was the best day for the main library. However, our North Greenwood is open on Saturday, our East Library, and our Countryside Library
Okay.
is open on Saturday. So, and actually Countryside will be gaining 2 hours on Saturdays. So they were open 12 to 5 on Saturdays, now we'll be open 10 to 5. So we have some ability to expand our hours. It's just the days that we're losing. The Sundays at Countryside and Saturdays at Main.
Okay.
But even though our locations may be closed, our staff still does outreach, community events. So the building may be closed, but we're still periodically, quite often offering services out in the community for events. So we do a lot of outreach.
Can I ask you a question about the
Sure.
cuts? I know that when you prepared the budget, you had a 5% cut option and a 10% cut option, is that right? I think you said
That's
that
correct.
last time. And the city council chose to take the 10% option on all of the pieces? You were saying that this is a question mark behind that,
Sure,
I'm not
sure.
making a statement.
Yep.
So 10% was taken off of some of the pieces, or has 10% been taken off of all of the pieces of your budget?
10% was taken from my overall budget, so that resulted in $820,000.
And this is causing currently vacant positions to not be replaced, right? Is
Correct.
that kind of how that's manifesting?
Reduction in,
And then that's manifesting as fewer hours open
Yeah, the closure.
for the library, okay. So, that's really upsetting, and I'm sorry that you're having to do that.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry that that's where they chose to take the money. I understand we're always up against firefighters, which is a very hard battle to fight. We all want the firefighters, of course. But I just wanted to say, I'm sorry that that happened, and that that's really difficult for you to deal with. And I wish that there was some way that we could get the word out about what libraries do and the importance and how we serve the vulnerable people in our community and all the ways that we do that.
That's very true. And it's a lifeline for many people in the community that they rely on.
And people who can afford to buy their own materials may not realize that they can go first to Libby or the collection, and they can save themselves money. Who doesn't want to save money, right? This is something that we're already paying for. And I just feel like a lot of people don't understand what the libraries do. And that results in us being cut so significantly. And if there's a way that this board can help to get that message out, I would love to be a part of that. I don't know if we need to set up another committee or what you'd call that, but I would definitely be willing to put hours of work toward getting the mission out and showing each and every person, how can this help you? What can it do for you? What does it do? Because a lot of people's concept of the library is it's a building with a bunch of musty books in it. And sure, we all know that from the old days, but that's not how it functions effectively now. We have technology professionals. There are people slipping through the cracks in our society that don't learn how to do IT except when they come to the library. There are people who need to access services from the state, whether it be Social Security, unemployment, those types of things. They cannot do those things without a computer now, and they don't have a computer, and they don't know how to use a computer if they had one. So I really want to help get that word out, because we have these quiet geniuses available to our community that don't have a voice, and we as a board should be that voice.
Yes.
But I know we got sunshine laws, like we can't, talk about this or that, so I don't want to.
And Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, this would be the time, because you do operate in the sunshine, this would be the time
To
to
talk about
discuss a
that.
plan.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what you would call that, maybe a subcommittee or an outreach committee, maybe what you would, I would defer to your expertise on that in terms of how the system operates.
Well, I would also think of getting with the other parts of the library, the foundation that supports the library, friends of the library, and maybe through all of us coming together are a pretty powerful group to come up
Yes.
with a plan to advocate on behalf of the libraries.
Yes, I would love,
Yeah.
I would love some guidance on how to do that, and I would be happy to devote my time to that.
Yes.
So, put me in, coach.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to speak to that. You are liaisons to the city council. So that is one avenue if you would like to
Heard.
consider having conversations.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
the city manager.
But we could also contact the other organizations, the Friends of the Library Foundation,
Yeah.
and talk to them about,
Create a committee, what would you call that? What would we call that?
Maybe like a subcommittee, or if you want
Okay,
to
you
work
like
as
that
a
terminology.
complete body.
yeah, we can do that, to work with those other groups and
Yeah.
let them know what we're thinking.
Awesome.
I mean, marketing is always, we know that we need to market, and we do a great job, and we have a wonderful public communications department, we have newsletters, we put out, social media posts and everything. But that's always been a challenge, and not just for Clearwater, but libraries in general, as everybody remembers, the card catalog,
Right.
or if they think, I can find everything on Google, or, who needs books, or So, yeah, we know and we try our best to market the best ways,
Well, hopefully
given
we
our
can-
resources.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we can get something together to boost that.
Yes, and
Yes.
also no blame. Like, you're dealing with having less people to do stuff, so how can you also do this,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and that's why one of our major priorities is outreach, getting out into participating in community events, word of mouth, being where the community members are and
So they see you.
gathering. I always say if you belong to civic organizations, talk the library up, because that's what I do. I mean, if I'm out in groups or I attend, meetings, I always say, did you know your library offers this, and this? Because we have changed, our profession, our libraries have changed so much, and we offer so many vital resources, and then, resources that, are just entertainment, and so it's just amazing. And I hear it all the time, that people come in the library and we're like, I had no idea you offered this. I didn't know you had online newspapers or ebooks or, stuff that you don't even have to be in the library to be using the library. You can be
Right.
at home. I always say you can be home on your couch or in an establishment, and you can download an ebook or read an online newspaper or, any of our databases. I mean, you have, access, remote access. You don't have to be in our library all the time to participate. So.
Yeah, and I've heard tell of people not understanding that library cards are free
Yes.
to people who live in Clearwater, and, or that even the North Greenwood branch is a library. Some people came in and said they didn't know it was a library, so that's no blame to anyone on the staff. That's, the problem is that we need to be in the loop of this change somehow. I don't know, I mean, I've spent my entire life trying to figure this out, so. So it's not an easy solve, But, yeah, so thank you so much for
Sure.
everything you do.
Sure, thank you. That means a lot. So. Okay. Just want to give you an update on what the city is calling it Reimagine the Main Library. And that is a request for proposals for museums and cultural partners for interest in possibly having a presence inside our main library. So what they call RFP, request for proposals, that went out back in February or March. The deadline, actually, applications will be accepted beginning this month on the 21st. That's when museums or cultural organizations can submit their proposal if they're interested. That starts on May 21st and it concludes on June 20th. So they have about a month to submit their proposal. Once the proposals are submitted, there will be a staff internal committee to review all the proposals and then make a recommendation to the city council. Ultimately, the city council will decide who is awarded the proposal or the direction of this concept. And they did offer formal tours for prospective parties who may be interested in submitting a proposal. We had one in April, and we are having another one on May 9th, Friday at 9:30, to tour the entirety of this building. So,
Have you gotten a good response from different community groups? Do you have a sense yet of?
I do not have a sense. This is being driven by our downtown CRA.
Okay.
So they're driving this project. So I don't know, who is interested. We will know once the application process is opened on the 21st and concludes. So our August meeting, I may know more as far as, who applied. I don't know if the committee will have a recommendation by then, but. to be continued. The next thing, I just want to give an update on our Friends of the Library, Clearwater Library. They are always so generous to us. They raise money, and all the money that they raise through book sales and donations and memberships, it all goes back to the library to support our programs and initiatives. And one of the unique things that they have been doing for many, many years is offering scholarships to some of our teen volunteers who have volunteered with us for their years in high school. And then they also offer 2 staff scholarships. So one, if a staff member is working on their bachelor's degree, they offer a scholarship. And the other scholarship is for any staff member who wants to apply that is currently in library school, working on their master's degree in library and information science. So those applications just closed this week. So they will be, the Friends of the Library reviews those applications, they make the selections, and they award their money to the application winners. So I just think it's a really great way to support
It's fantastic.
our teen volunteers that dedicate so many hours to helping staff with programs and services. And then, of course, our staff scholarships, because as you know, tuition is not inexpensive, and any little bit helps. So thank you. And along with that, our Friends of the Library, Clearwater Library fund our Employee of the Month and our Employee of the Year. And then they also help us with funding our programs all year long. So we're really grateful to them. And I'll follow that up with letting you know that our Library Foundation as well funds some of our programs and special projects. So they are funding, like I mentioned earlier, our school supply giveaway coming up in August. And then they also fund a lot of our big programs that we offer year-round. So I just want to publicly say thank you to our Clearwater Library Foundation. And lastly, a celebration of libraries across our country. April 6th through the 12th was National Library Week. We did a proclamation in front of the City Council during that week. And it's just a week to celebrate libraries. And we, like I said, it's nationwide. You know, that's when we really say, you know, this is what along with our general marketing, but it's just to recognize all the wonderful things libraries do. Libraries of all types, academic, public, special libraries, school libraries. So that is initiative from our national association, the American Library Association. So it was just a great week of celebrations. And then the following week, or the 2 weeks after that, is National Library Volunteer Week. So we acknowledged our wonderful volunteers, both teens and adults. So we always look forward to the month of April to formally acknowledge all the wonderful people that help us, the great services we provide, and it's just wonderful. So thank you. So lastly, is there anything you need from me? I know you brought up about the budget situation and marketing and whatnot, but is there anything you would like to see for next meeting? Any information? And
I just had a couple questions.
are there any questions?
One for the summer program that's coming up with, that's always so exciting with the young people and everybody for like the, all of the reading. Have you ever thought about getting any local authors to maybe do some readings during that time, or meet with some students or even adults? I don't know how much you get involved with local authors in this area. There are quite a few, actually, local authors here in Florida
Yes,
and
we
in this
used-
area.
Yes, we used to host like a local author each month. A local author would have a table and, promote their book, even sell their book, and patrons have an opportunity to talk to the author. We don't get many requests for authors to read to children. However, we do partnerships. So we partner during the summer with the Clearwater Threshers, and they bring players in to read to children.
that's
That's at our East Library. Our Countryside Library, actually throughout the year, we have the fire department, firefighters come out and read to children. Our police department comes out, their officers, and reads to children. So we do partner with other organizations to have community leaders and into our departments, our safety departments to read to children. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's see, I think I also had a question about you said you're working on the strategic plan, and I just wondered if you were already looking at libraries that are similar in terms of size for this library across the country and seeing what best practices they have and incorporating that into your strategic plan?
And absolutely, and that's part of the data collection. So, we can't compare Clearwater Library to New York Public Library. So that's part of one of the data collections is the comparables to population size,
Right.
library size, demographics. So that's everything our consultant will look at, data we collect, so we can compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges, given our resources and staffing levels and
great.
demographics. So absolutely.
And then for your staff development, have you looked at doing like Zoom meetings with other libraries that are your size, or a couple of library staffs to all get together and do staff development and just sort of talk about what's going on in the library space with other public libraries that are similar maybe, and what are they doing and what are they struggling with, and sort of it's like a brainstorming with several libraries that you pick. I think staffs of all libraries would probably be interested in talking to other librarians.
Absolutely, and we do something similar. So we have local groups. We're part of the cooperative. So they have different, they call them SIG groups for just groups within, library staff within Pinellas County meet on a monthly basis, most likely monthly, sometimes every other month. And they get together and talk about what everyone's doing countywide. The state offers monthly discussions for library staff or people at my level, directors. So we're constantly having conversations with our colleagues, either locally or on a state level, and even on a national. So we have conferences throughout the year. And so these discussions are definitely happening. It may not be like, oh, well, you're the size of Clearwater, so we just want
Right.
to talk to you. We're talking to many library staff, many libraries of different kinds, sizes, and different staff members within that. So we're definitely having those conversations.
And do you get an opportunity to go to ALA?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not
Okay.
going this year, but
Okay.
I do have a opportunity.
Yeah, I did give this library a shout out on the ALA Instagram site for National Libraries Week.
Thank
And
you.
said my favorite library was Clearwater Main Library in Clearwater, Florida, so.
And then every other year is a Public Library Association conference. So actually, 2026, March or April of 2026, I'll be going to the Public Library Association. And then we have a State Library Association, and their conference is this month. So I know that's a great way to not only learn through their workshops, but to network and talk to other people. And a lot of times we realize we have the same challenges. We're not alone in this. We have the same challenges and opportunities. But the conferences are great, and workshops and training opportunities, great way to talk with our colleagues. So That's all I have to report out. If there's anything.
Oh, I
any
had
more
one other question
questions?
about
Yeah.
North Greenwood. You mentioned the mural and all of the wonderful things. Did anything happen with the landscaping?
Landscaping was the last piece.
Okay.
So we have not forgotten, and I
Because
have
it
not
needs a lot of
forgotten.
love.
I
It
have
needs a lot
not
of love.
forgotten, and I've had some very.
And that's for you too. It needs a lot of love.
I've had some, I've mentioned it to Parks and Rec, and so that is
Okay.
the last piece. So that it is not forgotten. We will be working on that.
In the
so.
landscaping piece, it would be fantastic if we could somehow incorporate a small community garden in there.
Yes.
The need
Yes.
is definitely.
You know,
it's a
that's why I
big
thought
need.
about you, Loretta.
I had mentioned that along with the landscaping upgrade. The challenge, and we would need to partner with an organization because the challenge is, what grows when and too much sunlight and where. And
I would be happy to be a part of
Yes.
that. I
So,
Have a master gardener.
yes.
Would be helpful.
The prices of groceries nowadays, a lot of families going to definitely need it.
Yes.
It's definitely a huge need. I grow a massive amount of food. I eat 70% from my garden. And I know the benefits that comes with it, so I would be happy to share that with others. Okay.
Yeah, I did mention that, and of course it has to go through the approval process, and we just,
Of course.
but that is definitely, has not fallen off my radar. So,
Yeah. Could also become another program
yes,
at North Greenwood.
absolutely.
That would be fantastic, yeah. I have been contacted numerous times because I did offer classes all of last year through a program. There was a doctor over in Tampa, that was awarded a grant through the city of Clearwater, but I ran the program for her. She actually never even attended one of the programs. So I did the program for her for 13 months, and it was a huge success, and I felt so bad when it ended this past November. I closed it out, actually. I closed it out by hosting a graduation out at the library at the college in November, and I got Whole Foods to sponsor it for me. So I was able to buy the complete Thanksgiving meal and give out lots of food and everything
Wow.
in addition. And other than the food that Whole Food donated, I actually preserved all summer long, and I provided all of the hot side dishes for the families.
Wow.
And myself.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
42 students graduated from the program.
That's fantastic.
That's
Yeah, so which was awesome.
And we have partnered with like Master Gardener for programs, and I don't know if you're aware, where two of our libraries, our Countryside and our East Library, have seed libraries.
Yes, they
So
do. I
you
do
can
know
check
that,
out
since
seeds,
I'm an
and you're really not
yes.
checking them out because you're taking them home and planting. And we refresh those according to the
Yes.
season. Those have been wildly popular.
Yes.
So we're very proud to offer seeds.
I referred a lot of ladies there through the gardening program.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And we also partner with the city's sustainability department.
Okay.
In fact, they recommended additional native Florida seeds, so we
Very good.
acquired those, and they're available for checkout at
Very
our
good.
Countryside and our East Library. So, great program. So,
Okay, so any other board members to be heard?
No, I would just like to thank you and your staff for the awesome job that you do, especially coming up with these cuts and programs, and you're still managing to be creative and still try and offer the community everything that you can. So I would just like to commend you and your staff on the wonderful job that you do, and excited about trying to boost the visibility of the great things that you do in the community.
Well, thank you, that means a lot. I can't say enough about our staff. We have such talent and compassion and dedication at all of our locations, so I'm so proud of them, and without them, we wouldn't be the wonderful library system that we are, so thank you, that means a lot. So,
Okay, so I believe that ends the meeting for today. We'll adjourn.
All right, thank you.